So one of the things that is very consistently there in any discussions about ancient civilizations and things like that is this idea that they took a lot of psychedelics, especially DMT, ayahuasca, this sort of thing. Like, do you think we're missing something as humans in the 21st century to not be using these substances, or are they destabilizing?
No, well, they can be. They can be destabilizing, but I think it's a part of the existence. This is my personal belief that I think we're in a multi-dimensional sort of fractal universe. Some people say it's a simulation. I think it's like a giant fractal where we're only seeing one part of it. And what these things might these drugs, what you call whatever you call them, medicines, they might tune your brain into sort of seeing outside what you're allowed to sort of normally see, and that's Graham Hancock's sort of view too. He's sort of he has a great analogy where it's like a lens where like if something's at like this the whole other dimension sort of out of focus for you, and what these drugs do is like like a telescope lens where it brings it into focus where it's always there, but now you can see it when you couldn't see it before. And when you kind of go into sort of the third eye chakra and the pineal gland, and that's where DMT comes from, and it's the third eye is sort of the window into the next world. It all kind of comes together in an interesting way where you where like DMT is the way that you experience weird these weird worlds. And when you listen to interviews of people who have taken this journey, they're all remarkably consistent of what they experience and what they see. It doesn't seem like it's all individual to their psychology. It seems like they're experiencing something shared. And there's tons of like if you've done LSD, there's tons of like people saying, I was thinking this thought, and I was thinking the same thought too at the same time, kind of thing. There's like a weird connection thing going on when you're on these substances. And I think it's just opening the powers of your brain to something that they're not normally accustomed to experiencing.
Hmm. How real do you think the realm is that people enter when they take things like DMT and ayahuasca? Because I've seen people saying, this is another dimension. This is the world, but we can't see it when we're like, yeah, sober. Um, and I've seen like suggestions that there are scientists trying to map this realm somehow. I barely understand the concept of it, and I haven't done DMT yet in my life, so I can't say that I can really grasp it. But like, how real do you think that place is? Is it like a concept? Is it like a different dimension? Like, what are we looking at? Obviously, you don't know, but
I think it's a personally, I think it's another dimension and stuff. I think everything's energy, and we're sort of in an energy strata, kind of where things all the matter sort of vibrates at a certain range of stuff. And I think there's ranges of vibration that are below and above where we're at. So you could kind of go in these like sort of like musical octaves, like everything that we see is sort of like in one octave range. Then you got the next octave range up. And if you kind of like go into like Hinduism and a lot of the religious stuff where you're a soul, and there's a lot of people connecting your essence, your consciousness actually is a being in this higher dimension, that you were actually in this dimension and you're just coming down into the third dimension, inhabiting your body. And when you die, when you do a lot of psychedelics, you're just kind of going back up into that area where your conscious, your spirit body, or whatever you want to call it, actually exists and live. And you're in this sort of 3D body for some reason.
mm, it's like a capsule for the soul until
Something
we,
like that.
yeah.
It's like a meat prison for the soul or something.
Oh, don't make it sound so bad.
No, no, we're here for a reason. So,
We're here for something, at
yeah,
least. I don't believe
yeah.
it's totally random, but maybe we create the meaning that it's meant for. Maybe that's just us. Maybe it's just like a play world for consciousness. Um,
Yeah, I hope it's not so other entities could feed off us. That'd be a bummer.
mm,
Like if there's like demonic things that just feed off our emotional energy, kind of, or our soul energy, which is kind of a whole little rabbit hole to go down to. But if that's the truth, that's kind of a big bummer.
Yeah. I mean, this is how a friend of mine basically. So I've never said I don't think God exists. I've never said that like there is no God. But I was never a fan of especially organized religion. I've watched them be hypocrites, and I'm not a fan. But he was constantly trying to convince me about like taking a serious look at Christianity and that there was a God, and it wasn't until he really started to break it down in terms of like, well, look, what if these things that people are encountering in the DMT realm are angels and demons and the spirits that people talk about in religion? If these are like these are the things that people are discussing when they say demons or angels have like come to them, and all of a sudden I was like, hang on, so you're saying that God is like the consciousness that created the universe in a way? But yeah, it basically opened me up to this idea that maybe all these ancient religions aren't so wacky.
Well, there's a consistency among these different religions that runs as far as like certain types of gods. There's like a Jesus figure in a lot of religions, like Buddha, Krishna. Um, they all have very like strong parallels. Like I think Horus in the Egyptian religion, or the Egyptian culture. It's all they're all very similar in a certain aspect. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and what got me, like, I wasn't really religious too for a long time. I wouldn't maybe consider myself an atheist. I always held the possibility that there's something there that we don't understand. But really, what got me back? I'm not saying I'm like Christian, like a hardcore Christian or anything, but what got me into it was learning about the occult and how sort of all these people believe the other side of this, like the sort of dark Luciferian side, and how much importance they place on it. And I'm like, well, if these people are really into this, there's something there, and they're all kind of saying the same thing. It's all summoning up these entities that sort of help them in certain ways, kind of. So that was kind of my path in looking at all the people that believe the other side, and I'm like, all right, there might be something here with this.
Hmm. I mean, so what do you think of the Global Consciousness Project? Because I mean, you kind of touched on that towards the end, but it probably deserves like a
What is
full
that? No, did
document.
I? Maybe that's somebody else.
Maybe not. Maybe it was someone else. I'm looking at my notes here from your book. But so the Global Consciousness Project is absolutely freaking mind blowing, and you will love it. If anyone wants to check it out, you can look at Joe Scott's video about it.
Okay.
So basically, it's this student had gone in and tried to look at like, could you find patterns in random number generators? So they put them all around the world and they started to track like how much randomness there was or how much correlation there was, and like mapped it to like big world events. And they found that the most monstrous spike in history, as far as I'm aware, in this, since they started measuring it, was it started about 3 hours before the first plane hit the towers on 9/11. Like it started before that, and then like just goes like miles into the air. This like weird correlation in random number generators, and the implication was basically that like there's some thing that connects humans that sort of gets, yeah, that trauma brings out some sort of connection, basically, that it like spikes or affects whatever this field is that connects everyone. It's a very woo woo kind of like no one has any
Yes.
idea what to make of it topic.
It's kind of like a collective consciousness. I don't know if you're familiar with Rupert Sheldrake and his sort of, he calls it morphic resonance. And he's done like a lot of experiments on it where sort of with animals, you'd see this in animals where there'll be sort of a population of birds in in a certain area that they'll learn a behavior, and all of a sudden birds that don't interact in other populations will start doing that behavior as well, a very specific behavior. I think there was like an experiment. It was like from UK and Australia where they would have these test groups look at an image, and I think there was like hidden images with embedded with this image, and you were supposed to figure it out. And people and but at first both test scripts in Australia and England were doing terrible, but once somebody got it, people across the world were getting it at the same time, kind of stuff.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.